Let's go.
Put them together. Yeah. Come on now. Nah, you go. Yeah. I see you. Talk to him.
Oh my gosh, it's been a hot minute. Hi everyone, it's Janine Stella coming to you live with Skulls and Stilettos by way of Fight Mixer TV. I'm super excited to be hosting with these amazing group of people, and I'm excited. This is my debut show on Fight Mixer TV. I will be interviewing a UFC veteran and legend in the fight game, and I'm super excited about it. He's gonna hop on here pretty quickly, and I can't wait. So I hope you guys will enjoy this hour of power, and I'll tell you a little bit about me and who I am. So I've been in the fight game for a little bit now, and I love it. It's awesome. So I've been interviewing anyone from Titan FC to BYB fighters, and I've been doing it for a couple of years. Absolutely love it. It's great. It's opened a lot of doors, and I've met a lot of really wonderful people in this business. So Skulls and Stilettos came about because you can see my logo over there. So I have a view in life where everything is from head to toe. So if you see this, it says Stellified from head to toe. So I like to stellify people, meaning I like to really get to know the guts of them. I want to know who a person is. So whether they're rich, poor, if they're a janitor or a CEO, it doesn't matter. What matters to me is getting to know the person. So I find myself interviewing people from all walks of life, all nationalities, races, genders, and from head to toe, I really want to get to know them. I want to capture their essence and have a blast. So it's all about having fun, interviewing people that you love and like, and interviewing some people that you don't like and commentating on that. So I can't wait to get to know you as my audience and you to get to know me, and we can jive together. I don't know if we are live right now on Facebook. Let me ask my nifty sound engineer, David, if we are, or if I can share this. David, are we on Facebook Live? Possibly, maybe, could be. That I don't know yet. We will find out. MacGyver will ask David. Okay, cool. We are live then. Awesome. So at 7:05 or 7:06, I have Dean Thomas coming on, who I've actually interviewed. Oh my gosh, here he is. Look at how gorgeous you are.
Oh, well, thank you very much. But stop. You're going to make me nervous.
Oh, don't. You make me nervous.
You
Hi,
make me
Dean. How
nervous.
are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. It is so good to see you again. I was just about to say to the audience that we've met before. We've interviewed. I was in your garage, sitting in your home gym on your mat.
I remember that. It was you. You came over. We had a good time. We had some laughs. It was amazing. When you coming back?
I will come anytime. Anytime you want, I am there. But you're all over. Are you like back and forth to Vegas? Like your schedule is insane. I'm sure.
Yeah,
What's
it gets
Dean
pretty.
Thomas been up to?
It gets pretty hectic because I do so much. My friend Rory Karpf, who actually is the producer for Looking for a Fight and the Dean Diaries, he counted out my jobs. We figured it out. I have 11 jobs. So, yeah, I get pretty busy.
I'm going to just brag about you for a second. So just bear with me. You can blush if you want to. That's totally fine. You ready?
Yeah, I'm going to blow a cordial cherry. That's okay.
Okay, perfect. I'll pop your fight cherry. Ready? Here we go.
Okay.
Okay. UFC analyst, co-star of Dana White, Looking for a Fight, co-host of Josh Cohen and the home team, host of the Dean Diaries, co-host of Sirius XM MMA Today, actor, motivator, coach, MMA fighter. You have a professional record, 36 fights, 26 wins, 9 losses. I'm exhausted. Just like that was a mouthful. That is insane.
Yeah, I mean, but you know what? Like when you love what you're doing, like you just forget about all the other stuff. Like I love what I'm doing. I love being able to still be involved in MMA after all these years. I love getting on a stage. I love talking to people like this. So it's a blessing. I'm blessed. More than anything else, like it's hard. It's a lot of work, but I'm blessed. So for me, I wake up every day motivated, ready to do more.
Tell me about that. So you and I did my homework on you. I did my homework a little bit because
Oh, you did?
I
Uh,
did.
I hope you didn't dig too deep because there's some bones in the closet.
I saw those bones. I will not bring them up, but I did see them. We all
You can bring them up. Listen, if it helps with ratings, bring them up.
listen. This is Skulls and Stilettos. We all have our skeletons in our closet, honey. Let me tell you, myself
Yeah.
included. But
Nice.
don't worry about that. So you were born in Wilmington, Delaware, correct?
I was, yes.
So
Yes.
you were born in Wilmington. You came down. This is Wikipedia, by the way. You
Okay.
came down by the age of 12 to Port St. Lucie. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So I was born in Wilmington, Delaware, and Roxanne Modaffari was also born in Wilmington, Delaware. So there's one hospital. So we had to have been born in the same hospital, which is weird. So, but so that's like my connection with Roxanne Modaffari. But yeah, I moved to Florida when I was 12, just turning 13. So I had some formidable growing years in Delaware, in Newark, Delaware, is where the University of Delaware is, and
Yes.
it was a college town, and I had some good years there, and then I moved to Florida, and then the rest was history.
So after you, I'm going to have my sound engineer share this for me. MacGyver, can you share this for me? I'm going to just give you my phone so you can share this to all of our audience. You came to Delaware, you came down, and then your first fight was your debut fight, and correct me if I'm wrong, is at UFC 32 against BJ Penn. Is that correct?
That was my debut UFC fight.
Correct.
That was my first, yeah, that was my first UFC fight, and that was in UFC 32, June 21st, 2001. It is a date I will never forget because it changed my life forever. It was the most devastating moment in my life up until that point, but it made me who I am today, and I actually have a comedy bit about that day. So it's great. Like, when you have moments like that in your life that you can remember, you should embrace them and cherish those moments because they change who you are and make who you are a better person.
Tell me about that. What happened on that day?
Well, I got knocked out.
Other than, well, I read
Yeah.
that, but I didn't want to bring that up. But I didn't know if
Well,
there was something else
listen,
that
I know
happened.
it's awkward. It's awkward. It's awkward. I know it's awkward, but it was, I was going into that fight. My very first UFC fight, it was BJ Penn's second UFC fight. I was the heavy favorite because like I was the man back then. And so here I go. So I'm going into this fight. It was in Continental Arena they built it as New York, but it was right outside New York. It was in Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
Tito Ortiz was the main event. I mean, it was supposed to be a great moment for me. It was on TV, pay-per-view. My friends from Delaware that I grew up with, they drove up to see it. It was great. I was feeling good. I trained hard. I was feeling good. And all within like 2 minutes of the fight, I get knocked out cold. And I was out so bad that I was in the ambulance and I'm like, yo, what time are we fighting? And they were like, yeah. So I was like, oh no. And then they finally told me I got knocked out. And I was like, oh no, this is a night. It was a nightmare of an experience for me. But
Wow.
yeah. And I was like depressed for months afterwards. But when it was all said and done, it just made me a better fighter. It just made me a better person. So, while things sucked at the time, it was a life lesson for me. And I talked about this on air with my co-host today, Josh Cohen. This too shall pass. So if you're listening and you have bad moments and things that are going on that are bad for you, always remember this too shall pass. It's going to pass. Good moments pass, bad moments pass, and you have to always just be prepared to accept what life deals you and move forward.
That is so true. And you are truly motivational. And I know Justin Sims was just commenting that you are an inspiration. You were the inspiration for The Edge of Madness, the film that you both worked on, which is awesome. I've seen it a few times. And you have really had such a career. Oh, there's Mike Francis, some of the best advice. It's so true. It's so true. This too shall pass. You started as a fighter. You went into UFC. You had a great career. You had a great run in UFC. Then after that, and your nickname in UFC was De Niro, correct? Like money?
Well, that's actually my real name. Like
I
Yarrow
love it.
Yarrow is my real middle name. It's on my birth
I
certificate.
love it.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. And people called you that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Some
People
people
called you
still
that.
do. Some people, growing up as a kid in Delaware was like, oh no, why can't my name be Mike or John? But now as I'm older, I'm like, I love my name. It's so unique and it's different. So I love it.
It's awesome. And then looking back on your MMA career, before I get into the announcing and the commentating, would you have done anything differently when you were a fighter?
That is a great question. I probably would have fought more if I could have. And I wouldn't have been so concerned about winning and losing as much as I was. And that's another thing that I think young fighters should not be concerned with is protecting their record and this fight's not good for me. I should take this fight because at the end of the day, your career it's all about the catalog of the fight. It's not one fight doesn't matter. It's about the catalog that you'll remember and the moments that you'll remember. And the more moments you'll have more memories. And I wish I had fought more times and had more fights and more memories as opposed to going, maybe this isn't a good fight for me. Maybe that's not a good fight for me. So don't be so picky and choosy about your fights. If you're tough and you're a true fighter, fight the fight and win. Take advantage of opportunities.
Great advice. And also, the fight game was a lot different back in, UFC 32 than it is today, right? So what are the biggest differences that you've seen from the 30-second UFC fight to we're up to, 270s?
I know. It's crazy to think about that. But I mean, a lot of differences. And I don't want to say that the guys were tougher back then. It's just, and rightfully so, more people are treating themselves as a brand and a business now. So obviously they're trying to calculate their careers, and that's a little different than what we're used to because back then, and I spoke on it just a second ago, like we fought who we had to fight and we didn't get to pick and choose. But I wish I had more opportunities to do that. But in terms of the actual game, it's a lot better now. Like the athletes are a lot more complete. They're better athletes. Like when I was a lightweight, everybody in the lightweight division was probably a natural bantamweight today. Will be a natural bantamweight today. So, just it's so much more evolved and more complex now that if you took me from back then and had to fight now, I would just be an amateur fighter. Like that's how good fighting is now, is that amateur fighters today would have did well in the UFC back then. That's how much more complex the game is now.
And the social media. I mean, you can be a fighter and you develop this stream of income from your social media presence. So I think it seems like there's more opportunities for sponsorships and fighters today than maybe, 15 years ago,
the funny thing about that is that because the sport was so new, nobody knew anything. So there were a lot more sponsors. Like sponsors back then were willing to take a chance on fighters back then because no one knew anything. And they thought that it was bigger. So I remember one fight I made, I made about 50 grand. I was making 30 to 50 grand in sponsorships back then. And then it caught on that there was no real return on investment for these sponsors to be giving me that much money. So then it was like, why are we giving these MMA guys so much money? And then that's when it changed. And then, but luckily, Reebok came in. And while it may seem like a bad thing, Reebok money is reliable. Well, now Venom money, it's reliable. So for the fighters in the UFC, they're getting reliable money. And with social media, you're right. Fighters should be able to freak a lot more money through the social media presence. But fighters are, and I hate to say it, they're pretty stupid. They're very idiotic. They don't listen and they don't understand the game. And it's hard for them to really capitalize on their position because they don't understand the game like they should.
If you could give, you've given a lot of great advice thus far in this podcast, but if you could, on that note, what advice could you give a fighter today in 2022 on that note?
Take advantage of all your opportunities. Use your social media as a platform to get exposure, because the one thing fighters don't, fighters think that they get money based on them being able to fight. It's not that. The game is about content. Fighting is just a part of your content. If you're good at it, you're going to have better content, but you don't even have to really be great at it. I mean, if we look at guys like Patty the Batty, he's not the greatest fighter. He's not the greatest fighter in the world, but his content is great, which is why he got picked up by Barstool, which is why the UFC gives him ancillary benefits. So, because he's got great content. Now, obviously, you have to be able to fight, but your content is what really sells. When you go out there and fight, they're hiring you to produce content for them, not just fight. So focus on your content, which fighting is a part of, but focus on your content and you'll be okay.
Great advice. And you touched on Patty. I tune in just to see what he's going to do or say or act like, because he is entertainment in itself. And so from there, he's his own brand. And these fighters, when they develop their own personality and great content and their own brand, that's, the track record for success, it sounds like.
That's exactly what it is. It's all about content and branding and what you bring to the table in order to make money for the company. That's what it's all about. Is how much can you make how many people can you sell to make money for the company? If you can't prove that or provide money for the company, then why should we pay you? We could pay anybody to do what you're doing. You
could pay me to get in the ring. That would be hilarious.
And it would, in fact, it would be more entertaining.
I've had visions of showing up in a ring with like a clown suit with like a tutu and just acting like a sideshow pony. I mean, I don't know. I think it would be hilarious, but that's me. I think that's entertainment, but I'm a character as it is, so who knows? But
it is.
One day I'll do that.
I would pay to watch that.
I'm trying to get Mike from BYB or some fighting organization down here to say, hey, Janine, will you just show up in like a suit or something? Stella versus Dern. I love her. She's awesome. Mackenzie Dern's great.
Yeah, she is awesome.
She's awesome. And so is Roxanne. Roxanne was actually, you spoke of Roxanne. She was sponsoring a fighter at a Titan fight. And so I think it was 2 years ago when I first started interviewing Titan fighters, and I was like starstruck. I was like fangirling it out because I saw her and I was like, oh my God. And she was so cool and calm and collected. And I kind of looked crazy, but not as crazy as I looked in front of Kamaru Usman when I accidentally grabbed his butt in a hug.
Sure. That was an accident.
It was okay. So Muhammad, his brother, and because he was fighting for the heavyweight title for Titan, and Kamaru were there, and I was freaking out because Kamaru Usman's my favorite fighter. So currently, you're my favorite fighter of all time, but he's my current fighter, right?
Yeah, right.
So because I love you, I just love you. You're awesome. So Kamaru was there, and I'm like, I need a picture. So I'm so short. I'm 5'2" and a few inches, and they're way taller than me. So I put my arm around both of them, and I'm so short that my arm fell on their butts, and once I had my hand on his butt, I just couldn't let go. And it was like a squeeze that it was very uncomfortable, but I enjoyed myself. I'm just saying.
Well, listen, I got to give Kamaru a shout out to the champ. He made a guest appearance on the next episode of the Dean Diaries featuring Justin Gaethje, and Kamaru Usman makes a special guest appearance on there. So I want to give him a shout out and say thank you for coming on the show and just being, being the champ that he is.
I love him. If you can hook that up for him on this show, I would. I mean, there's no telling what I do, but I'd probably be sweating. I don't know. You have to like, yeah.
Getting hot and bothered, huh? You getting hot and bothered?
I don't know what he does to me. It's just this thing. I don't get it. I don't know. Anyway, girls have this thing. Guys have that thing too. It's like, what female fighter right now are you like, wow, she's hot?
There's, you know what? There are a lot of female fighters that I'm really attracted to, and not because of like their look, but just something about their attitude and what they bring to the table in terms of like they're just feisty and they're hard and they're strong and I love watching them. And I have a thing for a couple of them that do that. I mean, they're just really hard fighters. And I'll even go on record to say like Lupe Godinez does that, like, because she fights, like she doesn't care, like she shows up to fight, and she win or lose, she just shows up to fight. And to me, I find that honorable, and I love them for that, So when she fights, I'm always tuning in.
I love that. Mackenzie, I've got a thing for a little bit, and Holly's badass. I don't know what it is about Holly. I love her.
Yeah, she's badass.
She is badass. And you went from fighting. Oh, and someone asked, Fight Mixer asked, what was the favorite fight of your career?
Probably one that was like really early and easy. Fighting was hard, man. Yeah, some of my earlier ones were easy because I was fighting bums. So those were always great.
Love it. I love it. And then as far as coaching goes, when you ended your MMA career, talk about that, your transition from that to coaching.
Well, and it wasn't necessarily even a transition. And this is one thing that, I was just able to luckily be involved in different things that kind of transitionally were intertwined. So like, even while I was fighting, I always owned schools and had schools. So I was always coaching fighters, regardless of what was going on in my life. I always had fighters around me and coaching fighters because I had schools. So when I stopped fighting, I was just I was still teaching 5-year-olds, still teaching women's kickboxing, still taking amateur fighters to Louisiana to fight, still had a couple pros. So like, it was just doing something different. And even when I was doing that, I was doing improv comedy on the weekends. So like everything just kind of worked out for me to be in the position that I'm in now by just doing like these little fringe, I don't know, hobbies, like coaching guys and doing comedy and acting. And so, yeah, it was just like a weird thing that worked out for me.
And you're so confident. What I love about you is you're so confident, and your level of authority makes people respect you because of your confidence and your knowledge and your wisdom in this sport. And I think that is a great segue from you from fighter, and then you were alongside coaching, then the comedy clubs, which I have yet to see you in a comedy club, but if you're ever in the Palm Beach Improv, I'm there. Like, just let me know.
Well, here's why I've developed confidence, is because when I was growing up, when I lived in Delaware, I had zero confidence. I was small. I was like 80 pounds. I was skinny. I was small, and I was always intimidated by bigger people. And I didn't play sports for that reason at the level that I wanted to, because I was afraid. And then when I learned how to choke people out, it's very empowering when you can have a human being in your arms and know that you could kill them with your bare hands, and you can do that. So it's a very empowering feeling. So like, that gave me some confidence. Then when you get up on stage and you do improv comedy, and 90% of the time you bomb, but then you walk away from it, that also develops confidence. When you get up on stage and like, you're supposed to be funny, but nobody's laughing, and then you have to go home and eat that, like that, you develop confidence that way. And when I compound those things together, knowing that I can kill a man with my bare hands, and that you're still going to live if no one laughs at your jokes, you develop confidence. And that's what it is. Like, I don't care what happens. So I'm not afraid to fail. And that's, in fact, I like failing. I'm not afraid to fail. I like to fail, because the more I fail, that means that I'm doing something at a level that I need to be at. Because if I'm doing something where I'm always winning, it's at a small level, and I don't want to be at a local small level. I need to be at a high level. So when I fail, I know that I'm doing good.
How do you teach that, Dean? Like, that is something that is so, I mean, I struggle with that as well. You have to fail. That means if you fail and you keep going and you keep trying, you'll get better, but you'll never get better unless you get back up again. And it's such a cliche, but it's so true. So
Yeah,
how do you teach that?
It comes down to your focus. You know, like right now, you know, there's all these different stimuli affecting our bodies. Like things are going on. Like I'm in a parking lot right now. There's cars going on, but I'm not focused on them. I'm focused on you and doing this interview. So in life, we're presented with so many different things that are going to distract us. But what are we focusing on? So for me, when I fail, I don't focus on the haters laughing at me and me failing. I focus on what I need to do in order to get better. And I ignore everything else. You got to learn to ignore everything else, because when you focus on that, that'll discourage you from getting better. And a lot of people focus on that because of how they're brought up, or, you know, they have a sense of self that is unrealistic, that they think that they're supposed to be perfect. And when you're not perfect, it kills them to feel oh, I'm not perfect. I'll tell you right now, you're not perfect. No one is perfect. So accept that and focus on what you need to do in order to get better and improve at what it is that you want to get better at.
I love that. That's true wisdom and true advice for sure. And as far as your acting career and your improv, where can people find you if they wanted to look at that side of you? Because that's that artistic, creative side that I think is really interesting, that is a juxtaposition from this big MMA fighter in the ring to, I'm going to make you laugh until you fall off your chair. Like I love that. You know,
well, it's honestly, again, it's all intertwined. It's all woven together. Even as a fighter, I realized that it wasn't difficult for me to retire from combat because I wasn't in combat to hurt people. I was in combat and fought to entertain people, to entertain the crowd, and to express myself creatively in the way I fought. So when I retired, I transitioned into doing comedy and, you know, and acting. Now I have a new way to entertain and express myself. So it was all easy. It was easy for me to do. Now, if you want to find that, there's not a lot of stuff online as far as improv. Improv doesn't translate over on film as well. Like improv is something you have to kind of watch live. However, I do have a comedy show on the UFC Fight Pass. We did a UFC comedy jam with Adam Hunter. So it was myself, Henry Cejudo, Chael Sonnen, and Adam Hunter. We did a comedy special that's on UFC Fight Pass. But I have a couple acting projects coming out. You can always check The Edge of Madness. I'm not sure where Justin Sims has put that, where people could check that, but that's out somewhere. I have another project called Grace Point coming out soon. Aljamain Sterling is in that as well. And then you know, I'm hustling and I'm grinding to do more stuff, you know. So
how did UFC go, oh my God, this guy you're the jack of all trades. You're like a one-man band. You can do it all. So how did you transition from that to, I'm going to commentate? I mean, I slowly, even a couple of years ago, I would see you or hear you rather commentate. And now you are full, like I would think this would be your full-time job. You are just so good at what you do. You are right on, and it's just amazing, Dean. It really is.
You know, I was doing, you know, Fight Time promotions back in 2007. You know, I was in South Florida with, you know, with Alex Dono, you know, doing these Fight Time promotions. So like I had always had my foot in that door doing commentary or just doing like little things that for free, things that everybody else was turning down because they weren't getting paid for. I was like, I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do it. And while I was doing those things, I was developing a skill. And now I'm able to parlay that developmental skill into a career. So, I mean, that's why I'm just saying, like, for people, when you get opportunities to do something, don't look for the instant gratification of that financial gain right there. Think of how you can utilize that in the future to a skill that makes you valuable. And right now I've done it. And I got these gigs that I have now with the UFC because, one, Matt Serra's my homeboy. He got me on Dana White looking for a fight. And that worked out to where I got a job with the UFC doing doing analyst work.
Mm-hmm.
And that worked out to me doing analyst work for ESPN. And it's just the ball is rolling because I'm easy to work with and I love to work. I'm a workaholic.
And now you're a one-man. I mean, you are an anomaly. You can do it all. What's Justin say? Much love, and we'll kick it when you come back down. That's what Justin said. We all have to party at Dean's house. When are you having a house party? And when am I going to be invited? I'm just saying.
You are invited to my house anytime.
Aw,
and I'm going to have a house party in the summer. A big summer jam.
Awesome. That sounds good. I've got also I wrote all kinds of questions down for you, but now that you're in front of me, I think you've pretty much answered all of them. Oh, I did have some questions that are kind of off the cuff.
Okay.
Just a little off the cuff. For example, do you think you'd ever get back in the ring?
No. And again, like, I have no problem with walking away from combat sports in terms of competing in it. I have no problem with it. So, and in fact, like, the only reason why I got started in fighting anyway was because I didn't want to get beat up in the street. Like, it bothers me to watch people get beat up in the street. So I never wanted that to happen to me. So even now when I work out and train, like, that's always in the back of my mind. I need to be prepared in case somebody attacks me in the street. It was never to compete and make money. It was so that I don't get beat up in the street. And when I retired, I did the best I could, I mean, I'm okay with what I did. It's time to move forward. Let that go, move forward.
If you could fight anyone right now, who would that be?
Justin Sims.
Justin Sims. Dean Thomas is coming for you.
Yeah, Justin Sims.
I would pay to see that because I think both of you would end up on the ground. We'd all pee our pants laughing. Like we would be in stitches. I don't even know what else. Oh, Dean Thomas versus Justin Sims. Shorty Torres as the ref. Shorty was with you you were training Shorty for a while.
Yeah, Shorty lived with me for just under 2 years, and he, and again, that was an experiment that I had with Shorty and David Evans and Jillian Robertson. And I mean, we had some good times and we learned a lot about each other. And I'm hoping that I was able to give to them, some life lessons, more so than fight lessons. Like, for me, that was an experiment to teach them something about life. And I hope that they were able to gain from that.
I'm sure that anyone who comes in contact with you, Dean, gains something from you. You are truly an inspirational person. And when people are down and out, what would you say to a fighter that is really not getting much attention? They want to fight. Maybe they fought once in the year. They're trying to keep training, but the motivation is lacking. Maybe they still have to have a full-time job, which most of them do, in order to just get that chance and get that shot. What would you tell one of those fighters?
I mean, you have to love it. You absolutely have to love what you're doing, because, if you're getting into this because you want to make a living and want to make money at it, the irony of fighting is that you have to love it and not do it for money. And if you love it and not do it for money, you'll make money. That's the irony. If you get into it for money, you won't make any money. So you have to love it. You have to live it. And you have to constantly treat yourself as a student. You have to learn, constantly be learning. And now, again, let me give another shout out to Kamaru Usman. That was the one thing that I like about him, is that regardless of his position, I mean, he's right now the number one guy on the pound for pound list, but he's constantly seeking knowledge and trying to learn and get better. And you see it in his fights, he gets better each fight, because that's the name of the game. The game evolves, and you can evolve with it or you cannot. Or you can be a trendsetter and help the evolution of it, which you should be. So if you're not where you are, where you want to be in your career right now, love it. Just love it. You have to embrace it, and you have to love what you're doing. And if you love it, you'll stick with it, and you will make it, because it's all about persistence, patience, and persistence. If you have the talent, you will make it. And if you don't have the talent, it'll expose itself eventually. But if you have the talent and you love it, you will make it. I promise you.
Hey, Dean, do you have some pull on me being a ring girl for just like one fight at UFC? Could I like show up in my little fantasy tutu outfit and like my clown suit and just like hold the numbers for the rounds?
I'll talk to Dana.
Yes.
I will talk to Dana.
I mean, I know the girls are really good looking and they're beautiful and they do the mwah thing and, you know, everyone thinks they're cute, but I don't know. I just see a spark of something like, who are they going to put in that ring to hold that sign? Something fun.
I think you got a charm about you that resonates with people. And I can see people just vibing with you. I like the idea. I'm going to make it happen.
Holy crap. Oh my gosh. I'm blushing now. Now
Yeah.
I'm all sweaty. Look at me. I'm verklempt. That's awesome.
I can see this happening.
I think it'd be fun. Aw, Crystalline, I love you guys. Thank you, Dean. That was a compliment that I will forever hold in my heart. You are just magnificent. I mean, what is next for you? You've done it all. You have done it all. Are you going to continue to be a motivator and just a great analyst, or do you have something else in the works that none of us are aware of that might be coming down the chain?
Well, I think at this point now, I'm gonna focus more attention toward acting projects. So now I'm in a position where I can focus on more acting projects. So I'm going to focus on more acting projects. So within the next 2 or 3 years, I really want to explode doing that. And then and probably more motivational speaking. Like I think I want, and I talked to this with one of my guys about doing a TED Talk. So I might do a TED Talk.
As you're saying that, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking I would pay for you to be I would pay to go to a seminar to listen to you speak and tell your story and everything that you've accomplished. You just have that it factor about you that gets people engaged and they want to listen to you. That's not an easy thing to do. A lot of people, if I walk in my apartment and I hear their voice on the TV, I'm putting it on mute or I'm changing the channel. I don't stop to watch what they say or listen to what they say. But with you, you're just a plethora of knowledge that I just want to like dive into your brain and just like a day in the life of Dean Thomas. We should do that. Let's film it. You, me, and
Let's
Justin.
do it.
Day in the life of Dean Thomas. We'll go up to PSL. We will film this because I think just watching you in action. I mean, are people calling you? Is your phone ringing off the hook going, can you train me? Can you do this? I mean, I'm sure that happens all the time. Kind of.
But I mean, listen, I'm game for anything. If y'all want to do anything, but I'm going to give you the secret. The secret on getting people to listen. And I guess that's what you're saying. A lot of people are great speakers and they're great with words. I never considered myself great with words or a great speaker. But what I am is I'm aware of who my audience is and I'm aware of what I'm trying to say. A lot of people that are great with words speak because they like to hear themselves speak. and it's about them. And for me, it's never about me. It's about you. So when I'm speaking, I want to make sure that you are benefiting, not just to hear me speak, but I want to make sure that you are benefiting. It's not about me. It's not about me. It's about you. And it's about the audience, and it's about the story, not about me.
I think that is true words. True words. What is something about you, Dean, that no one knows that you would want people to know about you at this point? Because it seems like you're an open book.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
But people like you and I that are constantly in the forefront too, sometimes can be the most recluse people when we're at home. Maybe we just want to be by ourselves and watch Netflix and just hang out and be present with ourselves. So like, what's something about you
Well,
that
I mean, that's exactly what it is. And you know, when I tell people that I'm introverted and shy, they can't believe it. They don't believe it. And at the end of the day, I really am. I really am. I'm really quiet. So, you know, the radio show I do with every day, Josh Cohen and the home team with and my co-host Tina, we live around each other. So she drives me to work sometimes, and she has to force me to talk on the way to work. And she doesn't like when I'm quiet, but the reality is that I'm really quiet. I'm very quiet and I'm very shy, and I'm always observing. So when people see me, they think that I'm like this friendly bumblebee, you know, social butterfly. But at the end of the day, I'm really a shy, quiet kid that learned how to be extroverted in order to survive.
that's interesting. And you said that you originally got into fighting because you didn't want to get beat up, but was there something that happened? I mean, how did that transition from, all right, I don't want to be bullied, I don't want to be hit, I want to be able to defend myself, to you're quiet, but yet you're expressive at the same time, whether it's through your voice, whether it's through your fighting. When Dean Thomas wants to speak, whether it's physically or verbally, you're loud and you're effective. So was there a moment that made you go, all right, this, I mean, something traumatic or anything, you know, happen?
Okay, so one, yeah, I was very small and I was always intimidated by bigger guys. And I always remembered like being in high school and seeing all these bigger guys going, man, if that guy wanted to kick my ass, he would. And I always was feared that. I always feared that somebody would pick on me. But I think the moment that I knew I needed to learn how to fight for real was was when as soon as I graduated high school, my ex-girlfriend at the time started dating a different guy. And you know, when you're 17 years old, like you don't like that. You take that personally. You're like, what are you talking about? Even now, I'm like, I would do that. But she started dating a different guy. And I didn't like it. So I approached this fella. And I ended up hitting this guy in the head with a wrench. And I ended up going to jail. And I ended up doing 50 weekends in jail. Every Friday for 50 weeks, I went to jail. That taught me a lot about patience, a lot about self-reservation, self-discipline. And I said, man, you know, violence isn't really the answer, but I still need to know how to defend myself. But in that case, I wasn't defending myself. I was the aggressor. But it taught me a lot. And so between that and getting knocked out by BJ, like those were probably some of the strongest and monumental moments of my life where I said, all right, I need to be able to be more aware of my presence. And hitting a guy in the head with a wrench wasn't the answer, but I learned a lot about it. And now, you know, if ever a situation like that arose, I would learn to turn the other cheek and not do anything. But it also taught me that if I was the other guy and somebody was attacking me, I know how to handle myself.
Have you ever spoken to that individual again after that, after all these years?
No, I have never spoken to him after that. But The good news out of the whole story is that the girl is my son's mother.
That is mind blowing. So after you knocked him out and did 50 weekends in jail, was she like, "Oh, Dean, I messed up. You're the one"? Like,
No,
how did
the
that
exact
happen?
the exact opposite. The exact opposite. She was like, she was afraid of me. She thought I was a monster. And then it took me about a year to get back into her life, and then we got back together, and then and worked things out.
That's a great story. That's a
Yeah.
great story. And I was telling you, via text message, we all have things that are complicated and weird. I mean, I live with my ex-husband and it's nuts, right? Like, we got together in 2009, we got married in 2015, we divorced, then we got back together, and people always don't understand, and relationships are complicated, but they're beautiful, and there's no perfect thing. People want to put everything in a compartment and put them in a box. You're either divorced, married, widowed, in a relationship. No, it doesn't have to be like that. Things can be fluid, and you can just love the person that you're with and enjoy their company and respect them and be a partner with them, right? So
Yeah. There's no right way. That's the one thing I learned over the years. I'm 45 now, and I learned that there's no right way to do this. We're all just on this planet trying to survive and be happy. And when we try, and society tells us that we can't be happy if we don't do it the way they tell us to do it. And that's wrong. And even me saying it's wrong is wrong, because you can do whatever you want. And I always feel like anybody can do whatever they want as long as they don't do it at somebody else's expense and hurt anybody else. That's the problem. If you hurt somebody else, then we have a problem. But live your life the way you want to live it to be happy. Whatever it is that you want to do to be happy, live it. And if you see somebody else doing something they want to do to be happy, as long as they're not doing it at somebody else's expense, let them do it. Let them do it. Don't judge them for it. I don't judge nobody for nothing. If you want to, you can do whatever you want to be happy. Just don't hurt nobody else.
I completely agree with you. Listen to Justin. Some are into asexuality. It's true. Hey, some people are into. There's no wrong way to do it in life. There's no book of. Obviously, if you want to get biblical, but in the grand scheme of things, right? We're all human, and we can't understand humanity. We just have to live it and have to enjoy each other and things that we have to offer. But the key is learning, and you have the ability to help people learn from you. And I think that's the best part about you, and learning more about you in this interview than I did even 2 years ago. I think we were laughing so hard. I don't remember. I have to pull that interview up, but all I can remember was we were laughing a lot.
Yeah, I do remember that.
We were laughing. I don't even, and I remember sitting on the floor of your garage. It was awesome. Like, it was so good. But you have that ability. I would love to see you as a motivational speaker, and I would promote the crap out of you, because people need to hear your message. They really do, Dean. I mean, how can people, do you just do a podcast where people, like the Dean Diaries? I mean, is that a place where people can, are you still actively doing that? Is that a place where
I just shot an episode. I just shot an episode of the Dean Diaries last week in Denver with Justin Gaethje. That will be released next week, of the week before his fight. And then and I also have another, I said 11 jobs. So I have another project I'm working on with the UFC called Dean's Got Answers. And that's a more monologue style where I talk about different things. And I'm probably going to do that weekly. It'll give a little bit more insight based on just me talking. But again, I do want to do a TED Talk or something a little bit more personal, and maybe a little less funny, but a little bit more educational, because this whole thing is about giving back. I mean, it really is. I moved back to my hometown of Port St. Lucie because I wanted to give back. A lot of people move back because like they failed and they couldn't make it anywhere. But like for me, I could live anywhere I want. And I purposely wanted to go back to Port St. Lucie because I wanted to give back. and I feel like I'm doing that. You know, I've doing the best I can to give back to the community and kids and let them see that you can make it anywhere. Like you don't have to be from one of these big cities or these big towns. You can be from wherever you're from and make it anywhere.
So inspirational from Port St. Lucie. And we have a lot in common. Didn't you go to school in West Palm too? Or you went to Palm Beach Lakes or you went somewhere? Didn't we have that connection?
Well, I went to PBCC at the time. Now it's PBSC, but yeah, I
PBSC.
went to
Okay.
Palm Beach State College. I mean, that was it. But I did my whole time, all my high school years in Port St. Lucie. Port St. Lucie Jaguar is what I am.
A Jaguar. I remember when you said, I remember the connection, Palm Beach State, because when it was PBCC, I lived 5 minutes from there and I took classes there. And
Yeah.
we're like 5 years apart. So I'm sure we were doing that maybe around the same time or within the vicinity. PBCC, man, those were the days. Now it's a conglomerate. Have you been back there?
I haven't been back there in a while.
It's a different world now. It's all these brand new buildings and it looks more like a state college, which I guess now it is. But I think I want to promote you as talking to some colleges or students. People need to hear your story, Dean. They really do. I mean,
Yeah, I'm gonna get it out there. I will. I'll get it out there. I
50
just want to
weeks
make
in
sure I do.
jail. I mean, honestly, like I know a few people that have done not maybe 50 weeks, but maybe, maybe 6 months. But like, what did you learn when you were actually there? Were you like, I'm playing dominoes, or were you like, I'm going to talk to people and just figure it out? I'm going to
Now,
self-reflect.
now, I want to be very clear about this. It wasn't 50 weeks. It was 50 weekends.
Weekends, correct.
Yeah. So
Correct.
I would go in on Friday and
Come
come
out
out
on
on
Sunday.
Sunday. Yeah. Now, what I learned, the biggest thing I learned is how to pick up garbage on the side of the road, because they would let the weekenders work on the side. They would let us out and we would go, we'd wear our orange uniforms, or sometimes we wear stripes, and we'd go out and on the highway and pick up garbage. And I would do that just to kill the time. So it's like doing weekends in jail sucked. Like, I don't know if it would have been better to do it straight, but no, I don't even know if that's the case, because I don't like my freedom taken. Like when they jerk you of your freedom, like that is something that's crazy for me. I never want to go back to jail. That's the one thing I did learn. I never want to go back to jail. Like jail, I'm not built for that. I like freedom.
I have a story about the Port St. Lucie jail. Maybe that's for another show. But were you
Rock
at
Road.
my best friend, we were 16 and we've got a few minutes left. So I'll just say it. My best friend, we grew up together. We were driving her mother's car. Her dad lived in Cocoa Beach and we were driving and we got to Port St. Lucie on 95 and a cop pulled her over. She was driving her mom's car. She forgot her driver. We were 16. She forgot her driver's license. The cop was like, step out of the car. I'm sitting there looking in the mirror, putting on makeup. I wasn't thinking anything of it. Next thing I know, the cop is walking to the door and he's like, ma'am, I'm arresting your friend. There's a warrant out for her arrest.
Oh my
You're
God.
gonna have to follow me to the Port St. Lucie jail. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And I did. I had to follow him in his car. I sat at the Port St. Lucie jail. I was 16 for 4 hours while my friend got cleared. It was a bad check that got cleared, and she paid the fine, but it wasn't in the system. So it still
Oh
showed.
no.
Oh my God, talk about a cluster, you know what? So literally, I'm like, I am sitting in the Port St. Lucie jail. I was just chilling. We didn't have
Yeah,
cell phones back then. We were just, I was just chilling.
man.
It was fun. Good times.
Jail ain't no fun. It's no fun. And even when
No,
they don't book you, it takes forever. It's like, will you hurry up? Deuce. Like you sitting there 4 hours and just to clear your name. Like it's the system. I don't like this system. I'm gonna
it was
stay away from
awful.
the system.
The best part about that situation was when my friend was handcuffed, I started laughing and she was laughing. And the cop was like, why are you girls laughing? We thought it was a joke. Like we thought he was playing cop, like bad cop, and We're laughing. I have tears in my eyes. I probably did almost pee my pants. I go, sir, I've never even had a detention. And now you're dragging my friend in a cop car with handcuffs. It was probably the funniest moment of my life still to this day. And I'm almost 40. So, hey, you got to take the good with the bad, right? I
Oh
don't
my
know.
God.
Good
Yeah.
stuff.
And
PSL for life.
that's right. We jailmates.
That's awesome. Dean, when you are back in town from your 11 jobs, I know it's hard to catch you, but we all have to go up there and chill. You, me, Justin, Jessica, Roy, we'll go up there. We'll have fun, go out to dinner, do whatever you want to do, videotape something.
All y'all gotta do is let me know. I'm down. Just let me know. We can make it happen.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time, Dean. I really appreciate it. And I adore and love you. And put in that request to Dana White that he needs a crazy female as a ring girl. Because I'll
I
be
got
there.
you.
I will
Don't worry
fly
about
out
it.
there. I'm there.
I got you. And I appreciate you. Best of luck to and everything that you do. And stay in touch. We'll get it done.
Thanks so much, Dean. Have a wonderful evening.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye. How amazing was that, guys? Oh my gosh, totally blown away by the presence of greatness. I mean, I'm just saying. So I think so many things that Dean said are things that everyone needs to work on, including myself. I think everyone needs to be inspired by someone. And if you're having a good day, a bad day, sometimes you just need someone to pick you up and make you feel good. And Dean definitely did that for me. Even in this interview, I don't think he realizes his impact of what he does for the community, for the fight game, for commentating, for acting. I mean, it's just it's the emotion that I feel when I speak with Dean Thomas is just his presence alone. It just makes you feel like you're around something special. So I hope everyone gets that in their life and has that in their life. And I want to thank Fight Mixer for having me debut my first show. I love you. Thank you, David Potter, for your amazing graphics and your videos and my intro. And thank you to Justin Sims and Chris Alonso and my cousin James who popped in, and Mike Francis, who friends of mine who love and support me and wanted to watch my first show. And of course, he's my partner in life. So I love him. So I thank you guys so much. I hope you will tune in. This will be a weekly gig. It might be a little bit later on Wednesdays. I know that our times might be a little off. We might start a little bit later, but tune in because you never know who I'm going to have on this show. I've got an interesting lineup in my brain. Combat sports are very, very cool. And sometimes it's not always what you think. You could interview people that you would never guess would want to be interviewed. I have a doctor in mind who wants to be on the show. And when I tell you maybe what she does, it might intrigue you to watch it and tune in more. But anyway, thank you all so much for tuning in. If you like this video, please share it. Dean Thomas is an inspiration to our South Florida community and to everyone in the fight world and in life. So I love you guys, and thank you so much for giving me this platform, and I will see you next Wednesday.